Hey, I'm Gladius. Welcome to my complete Lynx guide. We'll go over exactly how good of a healer she is, her strength and weaknesses compared to other healers, and what team comps she'll be able to solo sustain. I'll show you the best light cones, relics, and stats. Get your camping gear ready, we're about to explore everything. Lynx is our first Quantum Abundance character that has good healing and debuff removal in her kit. And as a bonus, she has a little preservation built in her kit, and I'll be explaining why. Her basic attack has a unique HP scaling, much like Fuxuan, but it's nothing crazy, so we won't say much more. Her skill is a typical single target heal that also increases the max HP of the target by an amount that scales with her own HP. If that target is preservation or destruction, even better, it grants them a taunt value, greatly increases the chance they'll be attacked by enemies. Her talent is a healing over time effect that is applied to any ally that gets healed from Lynx's skill or ultimate. This healing is great at healing chip damage from either AoE or DOT effects. Her ultimate is a moderate heal on the whole team, but at the same time it removes one debuff from each teammate. This can come in handy versus enemies like the Stormbringer, some swarm enemies, and the Ascended. At a glance, her kit is quite typical for an Abundance character, but don't underestimate the potential synergies of providing taunt to tanky teammates. This can improve the consistency of the whole team's survival from bad targeting RNG. Now let's plug in some reasonable stats of an E0 Lynx with good relics and investment and see how well she heals. Her skill heals about 1400, her ultimate about 1800, and her talent takes about 450 per turn. But in reality, you really have to take into consideration overhealing and wasted healing. After doing so in a 3-turn rotation, her total expected effective healing comes out to be slightly over 9,000, comprised of 59% coming from the ultimate, 26% from talent, and 15% from her skill. And of course, healing isn't everything Lynx provides. She also have a team-wide cleanse on her ultimate and an HP plus taunt buff on her skill. To analyze her kit holistically, I will use my 3-pillar of survival evaluation to give her a score. This is an updated chart of my survival evaluation. I won't be going over everything again, you can find that in my previous Fuxuan video. But in short, I've updated its accuracy, bumping up Bailu's preventing death score. Now, Lynx has slightly higher healing output than Natasha, but still behind Luocha and Bailu in raw healing. She has slightly higher death prevention score, with the added utility of providing extra HP and taunt for destruction or preservation units. She has just slightly higher debuff and crowd control dispel score than Natasha, mainly from her innate 35% crowd control resistance. I did not value her ultimate AoE cleanse to be much higher than that of Natasha's single target cleanse, because the ultimate is her main source of healing, and a lot of times you can't just hold it in anticipation of maybe needing it to remove debuffs. Both Natasha and Lynx debuff removal have their own situations to shine more than the other. Lynx receives a total of 8.5 star rating for survival and is a sizable upgrade to Natasha, but not power creeping to the degree of Luocha. Now that we know how Lynx works, let's talk about what stats to go for. For main stats of relics, we'll be looking for healing output on her chest piece. Due to the lack of available sources of output healing, for Lynx this is a 13% more healing output than an HP percent chest piece, which is a very significant amount. Do note that going for an HP percent chest piece do enhance her max HP buff from her skill even further, and for someone like Blade, it'll equate to roughly about 1 extra damage for Blade. I'll let you be the judge whether you want to sacrifice 13% Lynx healing for that. For Boots, you want speed, Sphere, you want HP percent, and Robe, you can go HP percent or energy regeneration. I prefer to go speed and energy over HP percent. The main reason for that, for any healing character, is that I prioritize improving their frequency of healing over raw healing numbers. This gives the healer more versatility in actual combat to react faster in emergency situations, and avoids overhealing. Her substat priority should be speed over HP percent equals effect resist over defense percent. Effect resist can be very effective when stacked over 50%. Also, if you're pairing Lynx with the destruction or preservation character on the team, it's in your best interest to tune her speed to be slightly lower than them, because we want to be as efficient as possible with the buff's uptime and not waste skill point. Real quick on trace priority, here's a graph showing the opportunity cost of leveling her traces. It's quite simple. level the raw stats like HP percent and effect resist, and then focus on the ultimate, and finally level the skill and talent. Also, it's important to level her ascension traces. These are inexpensive but impactful. I will point out the most important one being the 35% crowd control resistance. It is imperative that the healer and dispeller on your team is resisting those crowd controls themselves. Lynx doesn't have any 4-piece relics that tailor-made for her. The 4-piece Passerby of Wandering Cloud is not very impactful, and the 4-piece Hacker Space is also not a perfect match, with Lynx only using her ultimate every 3 turns at best. So naturally, the way is to get a 2-piece combination. For Lynx, the options are quite easy. There's 3 that stands out. 2-piece Wandering Cloud blows everything out of the water with a 10-piece healing bonus. As for other options, you can't really go wrong with either the 2-piece HP or 2-piece speed. They are, after all, from the same Cavern of Corrosion, so pick up whichever set you can get with more substats. For Lycons, I've listed the best options for Lynx. Deciding which one to actually use oftentimes comes down to how many super impositions you have on those Lycons. For comparison's sake, I've used S5 for all the 4-star options. For raw healing output, nothing beats the Battle Pass Lycon. Keep in mind this is an S5 and it will take a long time to obtain, and it doesn't provide any additional utility outside of healing, so it's not necessarily the one I would recommend. This is a comparison of pure healing output, which is very deceptive and doesn't tell the whole story at all. In fact, each of the other Lycons have built-in perks that are very significant to Lynx. Bailu's 5-star Lycon has superb healing output and a very high base defense to make Lynx tankier. Perfect Timing provides so much effect resist that a well-invested Lynx can become almost immune to debuffs. Post-op Conversation is my personal favorite. It provides energy boost to Lynx's ultimate. This is very important for consistency. Lynx's ultimate is responsible for a majority of her healing and is the only source of debuff removal. Lynx is very complete at Eidolon 0, but nonetheless I'll talk about her impactful Eidolons. Half her Eidolons are improvements to her output, and the other half are extra utilities. Of course, they don't quantifiably equate to each other, but as always, I still normalize them to be quantifiable for better visual presentation. Eidolons 1, 3, and 5 are decent improvements to her healing output, but nothing crazy. Eidolon 2 gives her skill a one-time debuff prevention. This could be useful on targets that really hate being crowd controlled. Eidolon 4, in my opinion, is very insignificant. It only equates to about giving 14 attack percent with only a 33% uptime. Eidolon 6 will be her best Eidolon, providing extra defensive utility on her skill. A combined worth of 11 substats of HP percent and effect resist for the target of her skill. Let's talk about team building, and firstly we'll address Mono Quantum. Lynx doesn't have any inherent synergies with quantum units except being the quantum element, and that is still very impactful as an abundance character. At the time being, we only have one other competition, and that is Fu Xuan. Mono Quantum only has a purpose when Silverwolf is present to force quantum weakness on enemies. Bringing the right elements of Harmony characters will further improve the consistency of Silverwolf. Also, the possibility of an elemental duo consisting of Silverwolf and Lynx paired with 2 other characters of another element can force that element weakness on the enemy if they're already weak to quantum. For general team building in a hypercarry team setup, you have to be mindful to build more defensive stats on destruction characters that aren't particularly tanky. Lynx will make them being targeted way more by single target attacks, and this could be very dangerous in harder content. And finally, we have more optimal teams where we fully utilize Lynx's kit to her advantage. There are in fact destruction units that are more appreciative of being targeted more by enemies. And that'll be Blade and Clara. Both Blade and Clara are tanky bruisers that do want to get hit and deal back even more damage in return, all the while keeping their teammates safe. In a synergistic way, Lynx is providing not only more damage, but also less damage taken by the whole team. Of course, in a dual sustain team like Mono Quantum with Fu Xuan along her side, Lynx brings a lot of value with her heals and party-wide cleanses. But if we're strictly talking about solo sustaining, we have to consider which situations she excels in and which ones she falls short. Now, she is great at solo sustaining steady AoE damage fights. Her talent is a 3-turn heal over time that gains way too much value if everyone loses HP steadily every turn. Her ultimate debuff removal is a huge counter to Wind Shear mechanic. Wind Shear relies on stacking up to do a lot of damage, but its flaw is that it's still considered one debuff no matter how many stacks it has. So a one debuff party-wide cleanse is perfect solution to Wind Shear. Now her weaknesses. When solo sustaining a team, if no tanky destruction or preservation unit is on Lynx's team, she will struggle to heal bad targeting RNG or high incoming burst. She have no way to reduce damage taken or revive dead teammates. Also, when healing difficult content, she'll need to consume a lot more skill points to keep up with the pressure. That concludes my complete guide to Lynx. She is a unique healer that brilliantly outclasses her competition, not with raw healing output, but with extra utilities and team building strategies. She definitely brings more value to a turn-based game than the norm. I read all my comments, ask me if you have any questions, and subscribe if you're into these type of content for future characters. I'm Gladius, thank you for watching, until next time.